Hey, welcome everybody. We're about to get started real quickly. I want everybody, we're about to go to our intro video and testimonial. We're going to go to our intro video testimonial. Go ahead and play that intro as we get prepared tonight. It's going to be dope. Go ahead and play our intro video. Let's go.
David Anderson has become synonymous with global black wealth. Whether he's shaping policies at the World Economic Forum, playing key roles within political circles on both sides, mastering the art of building unshakable wealth on an international scale, or breaking down barriers so that black men around the world can win. David is the world's best kept financial secret weapon. From the ghettos of Southside Chicago to the Obama White House, to the homes of billionaire moguls, David's receipts stretch well beyond million-dollar bank accounts, African royal families, or celebrity inner circles.
But I believe that they did something that all of us can do.
David's true gift is in single-handedly positioning everyday brothers to become global millionaires. Why? Because it's about damn time we own what's ours and have a real seat at the table. Money, power, respect.
I met Dave about 4 years ago. My first business cracked 7 figures, and it was actually an interesting time to meet Dave because I oftentimes say you can't just be wealthy overnight. You actually got to have somebody to teach you the game. And DA kind of stepped in and took me and my business partner under his wing and showed us how to kind of maneuver this very dangerous game that we play called business. And within 6 months, DA was actually able to help us obtain a $200,000 line of credit. And then 6 months after that, he actually helped us secure a $3 million line of credit that we were able to obtain in real estate.
After sitting down with David and going through some ideas and some concepts, in the first 6-7 months, I think we did roughly about $10 million together. It's an exceptional program, and David did something for me that no one else had ever done. He taught me the power of global expansion and really understanding the importance of an international network and how we can build on that network. Him and I have done projects that surpassed the $20-30 million mark. My life has changed in more ways than one for the better from the development of our relationship. And I'm just so happy that you have brought me in to the fold and have shown me how important the power of a network internationally from a professional perspective.
Welcome, man, to another session of 1 Million Black Men. Hey, real quickly, if you're in the building, baby, tonight, please give me a quick hello in the chat. Say what's up. Say how you doing. Man, tonight's going to be real dope. I'm super excited. I know folks, the texts and emails have gone out so folks can get in tonight. But tonight's going to be dope because I'm going to kind of uncover some things, talk about income. We're going to talk about the passive. We're going to talk about the active and what that is. And what's interesting about tonight is tonight's off the back of, some of you guys may have gone, it's off the back of Invest Fest. They just finished up in Atlanta, Invest Fest. And in Invest Fest, it was, I heard just pretty phenomenal. You had Robert Smith at the table. You had a bunch of brothers at the table, Peoples, some cats I've known for a minute, people who I've rocked with for a minute, were at the table and doing things. And what I want to say is that it's a great thing when we have these amazing conferences and events because it allows, I'll speak particularly for a lot of the Black folks that are in America. It's amazing. But once you leave that conference and you leave the hype and you leave the energy, you got to now go execute. You need to go and make things happen for yourself and make things happen for you and your family and for those around you to go kill it and go hit the street. And so I was so excited about Invest Fest this weekend. As people are coming in, I decided that, we have been going through some of the, what I call the deadly sins of business. We talked about the nuances of different things. Now we're about to get into some income stuff and talking about particularly passive income and kind of what that is. So real quickly, if you're in the building as you come through, please send a hello in the chat. Albert, welcome. Everybody else, welcome as you're on YouTube, as you're on Facebook. Tonight, I actually don't have my whiteboard with me per se, but that's okay because what I have, we got some graphics that are coming, some things that we're going to have up on, so we're going to teach from, and I got my white paper, so hopefully with my white paper you can read everything properly the way it's supposed to be. I'll write some things down. I like to kind of have that because I think it really pushes people. Like tonight, I'm wearing this hat that says cash flow. And the reason why I got cash flow up here because when we talk about income tonight, passive, active, everything, I want to help with a lot of misnotions of what kind of income is, especially when we talk about passive income. Because the definitions by where that people talk about this, you'll get tricked or you'll be beguiled, you'll be fooled to think that you're operating in a passive income space and you're not, right? There are certain things that are passive and there are certain things that are active, right? And there's a pendulum. There's a pendulum across that when it comes to passive and active income. And so I think that I've helped define this. I think that this is going to be good. And I think that people are going to play this over and over and over. We're going to do a two-part series. I don't have a whole lot of time, so we're going to do a two-part series. I kind of stopped. I was at a dinner tonight, doing some strategic networking with some stuff. But I wanted to go through this tonight because I think that this is going to be very powerful for people as they look at their lives and look at what's active and then what's passive and everything else. So with that, everybody, welcome coming in. As you come in, please put something in the chat. Please put something in the chat as you come in. And we're going to go through this thing about income. So let's start off as my team. I know they're putting a whole bunch of things together right now, and everything set up. Okay. So let's start off with, let's put up that graphic. Kezi on the back end, the one that says the definition of passive income with my picture on it. Let's put that up real quick as people come into the building. Welcome, Dexter, Chucky, everybody. Let's put that graphic up and put me in small, right? Put that graphic up because we're going to talk about this passive, active income space and exactly what it is. And I know some people, you're going to get a lot of clarity tonight about this. You're going to get a lot of clarity tonight about what this is and what you should be looking at, right? And the things that you can do to go into the passive space along with maybe, the active space. And, it should be good. So let's get this set up. Let's go. And we're about to make this happen. So, all right. So let's go ahead and post that graphic and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So why did I choose to talk about this passive income? Because I was sitting with a young brother, actually. A lot of my topics, hey, Jose, Terrence, Greg, I want to say hello, everybody, Dexter, Antonio, what's up, everybody? Look, I was sitting with a young man. He was about 27 years old, 26 years old, and he was asking me some questions about some stuff. And what's crazy is I started to give some definitions and to talk about some stuff. And he was like, man, for real? That's what that is? Wow, that's what that is? And he basically, was shocked by some of the things, the notions, right? And it was pretty amazing. And I was like, man, I gotta talk to the team about this. I gotta talk to the people about this. Thank you. I know everyone's coming in. Please, you come in the chat real quick. Say hello. Say what's going on. Please put that up. And so I was like, man, like, I need to talk to my audience of 1 million Black men because this is something I realized that I have an understanding about this that it's just not, it's you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? So let's put up the graphic. We got to get the graphic up. Let's get that up, right? Let's get this graphic up because I want people to see something, right? And be able to look at that. Good evening, Dr. Marlon, Elijah, everybody. Welcome to 1 million Black men. Passive income. So, all right, they're processing the graphic. It's about to go up, and we're going to go ahead and put that up. All right, so All right, here we go. So here we go. So look, there is a curve, and we're gonna put up this curve. My team, I need that graph. I need that graph to go up in a minute. I'll tell you when. There is a curve when it comes to active to passive. Okay, right. So when I want you to think about yourself and the ways you make money, how you make money, how you get income. Okay, there's a curve as it pertains to active and passive, right? If I had a graph like this, there's a curve to active passive. There's a true curve to it, okay? Now, get ready for that second graph. I want that the actual graph to go up, team, so we can process that and get that set up, right? Because the society we live in, okay? Everybody wants to pretend or act like that they can get up in the morning, right? That they can, just exist and they're making money. This is one of the problems. I told somebody this is one of the problems that we have with with social media today, right? And the problem is that it's a false reality. And people are being fooled by somebody saying, hey, make some money online, do this, that. Hey, make some money doing this, that. Make some money. Like, they make it sound real easy. But please understand that it might be an easier way to make money than other ways to make money, but very few spaces where people sit down, eat Cheetos, and they just make money. Okay? Very few spaces. I'm going to talk about some of those spaces tonight. This is going to be a 2-part series because I want to educate everybody here tonight and give you like deep definition. Okay? But I don't want you to be fooled if you feel like you're doing something wrong in your life because you go to a job, or because you're running the business, or because you're self-employed, you're a mechanic, or whatever. I don't want you to feel like you're doing nothing wrong. Okay, you just have to get better at the ways you make income. Okay, you have to get better at the ways you make income. I want you to hear that again. It's about getting better and smarter at the ways you make income. Not all ways that are active are laborsome. Not all the ways that are passive are laborsome. It's just you got to get better at the ways in which you make income. All right. So here, we're going to put this together real quick. I think the team, are you guys ready? Can you put that graphic up? Let me know in our chat if you can put that graphic. If not, I'm going to write it down, and then we're going to go that way so that everyone listening can get a full picture. All right. So, okay. All right. So let's put that graphic up, right? Let's put that graph up real quick. Okay. Gonna put that graph up, set that graph up. All right. Actually, I want it with just the graph. I think she created with just the graph. This is good. Thank you so much. This is good, but it's kind of hard to see. So I want it to be just a graph, right? So everyone can see this. If you're on your phone, be patient with us. By the way, if you are on Facebook, please like us, follow us. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. We need that. That helps us just in some of the algorithms that we run, right? But I want you to, as you look at this graph that's coming up, you can see where you kind of fall. Now, I believe I couldn't find anything else that what I would call had this. So I kind of created this. Literally, I was in the lab and like created this because I was like, man, how do I explain this to people in a way where they can really like get it, really get it. So let's put that graph up right now. I think it's ready. Is it ready? Yes, it is ready. Oh, thank you guys so much. Oh my gosh. All right. Please, you guys share this. You want to share this session with people. Tell folks, get in the room, because I'm about to break this down as you see this, right? Okay. Okay. So here we go. So active and passive, right? Okay. The most active thing you can do, okay, the most active thing you can do, right, is a job for income. Now, there's nothing wrong with a job. A job is great. A job is fantastic. It pays the bills. But the most active income thing you can do is a job, right? And the reason why it's the most active, because for most jobs, in order to get paid, you have to show up. Okay? Meaning that literally you have to show up. Okay? You don't get paid for anything else outside of effectively showing up. Okay? So the job is the most active. Okay? Self-employed, right, is going down this pendulum. Self-employed. What is that? If you're a hairstylist, if you're a makeup artist, if you're a plumber, if you're whatever, that's also income, right? But you have a more flexibility. You're not constrained to, right, the job's requirements. But jobs are good. Jobs are not bad. Jobs are good, okay? But self-employed, you move around the pendulum. Mom and pop shop. What is a mom and pop shop? I use that terminology because it's the terminology we understand in America. It's you got a couple, it's you and a couple, few and three or two, it's you and two more, right? Meaning that you can have a space where it's active, right? But it's you and a couple people. It's like, your restaurant, right? It's the mom and pop shop, your local small business that we all like to support, right? Because we all love to see, people in there working and stuff like that. And like we were in there, we love it. Local business, right? All right. Next is a small business system, okay? Small business system. Look, for Kezia who did this, I love this graph. I love this graph because it's really great for the bell curve. Then you have a big business system. See, a lot of people think that, man, if I build a big business, right? Now, like for my example, guys, I have hundreds of employees, literally hundreds of employees, okay? And they think that, wow, if I build a big business system, all of a sudden that means that I'm not involved anymore, that I'm completely passive. Guys, that is not true. I want you to understand this, right? It's better than having a small business system because it means you have less people to depend on to operate the business. But a big business system means you have more people to deal with the business. As you get bigger in a big business system, right, you have bigger challenges, bigger stuff. Let me give you an example, okay? Give you an example. I have what I would consider, I'm probably between a small business and a big business system in what I do in my company. I just got a letter from one of the governing bodies, a commission, on somebody who filed a major complaint against the company. We have to now answer that complaint. I have to hire lawyers. I have to do all kind of stuff. Now, the complaint may be valid or not valid. I own the company. Unfortunately, though, right, the business is so big or at a place where whatever happened, I had nothing to do with it personally, but I'm still liable because of those things. I have to be involved in those things. I need to know about those things, right? Now, it's a little bit different. When you're running a mom and pop shop, you're usually touching the customer. You're usually doing the stuff. I'm not doing those things as much as I used to, per se. However, I'm still involved. It's still active, okay? It's still active, okay? All right? Now, with that, Keza, were we able to get that other graph together? Because I want to now stop before we go through the pendulum, right? And I want to get some definition here for some people, and they can get this down. If not, let me know in the chat if we can't get that, because I can just show it to them. Guys, put me back on the big screen, if you can. Put me back on the big screen real quick. Okay? All right. I think it's processing. Is it defined? It's processing. I see it. Yes. Okay. Put that up. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Here we go. All right. So, passive defined. Okay? For everyone listening tonight, I want you to keep these three definitions in your brain. So when you hear of opportunities, when you hear of business, welcome everybody. Hey, Foe, Daryl, Milton, everybody. Sean, welcome. Kiana, welcome. Nathaniel, everybody, welcome. Okay, ready for this? Okay. you have actively passive income, you have partially passive income, and you have fully passive income. Okay? There's actively passive, partially passive, right? And fully passive. Someone's telling me it's a blank page. Everybody, I want to make sure that page is not blank. Thank you for that, everybody. Thank you for that. Okay? Guys, in the chat, if you can see this, give me a 1 in the chat real quick. Give me a 1 in the chat. If you can see this 1, 2, 3 up, please give me a 1 in the chat so we know that everyone's following us. Please give me a 1 in the chat, right? If you can see this, give me a 1 real quick in the chat. Give me a 1, okay? If you can see the 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, so you have, give me a 1 in the chat. Actively passive, partially passive, fully passive. So what is actively passive? Okay. I'm going to give you part of what I call probably the most actively passive space that I know. And just so everyone knows what we're doing here, right? I got it down here because some of you guys I know cannot see. Real quick, guys, give me the big screen again. My back office team, give me the big screen so I can show people this. All right. All right. This is what we're showing right now, just in case you can't see it. Okay. This is what we're showing, right? So it's defined actively passive, partially passive, and fully passive. What we're showing right now on the screen. All right. Let's go back to those 3. Hopefully it shows this time when they redo it and they bring it back up. Okay. Let's do a note at the bottom too, so people can follow this. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So the most actively passive income space that I know of, that I can tell you, is real estate. And I know this is a space a lot of people get involved and do it, right? Real estate in the area of whether you're doing development, whether you're doing rentals, or whatever the case is. There's a passive sense. And everybody that sells real estate courses or talks about real estate, right, always talks about how passive it is. And there is a passive sense to real estate. But real estate is one of those what I call actively passive spaces, okay? It's actively passive, okay, until, hold on, you ready for this? Guys, we're going to flip back and forth between these graphs, right? Go back to our graph, back office team. Go to our graph real quick. This is when real estate goes from actively passive to partially passive, okay? Hold on. Let's go back to the other graph with the graph real quick. Let's show the people that, right? Thank you so much. This is great. When you go from mom and pop shop to a small business system, what I mean by that, in real estate, for example, let's say I have 30 properties, right? 30 properties or 30 units. I'm not gonna say properties. This is great. Thank you so much, team, right? Let's say I have 30 properties. Now, mom and pop is, right, I'm collecting the rents, right? I'm dealing with the toilets. Hey, I'm dealing with this or whatever, right? I even have a property management company, right? But with the property management company, right, with the property management company, I have to be on top of their neck to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do, okay? So there's a certain sense of mom and pop shop. When I get to a small business system, it usually means I have a full-time maintenance person and I have somebody who's basically over or dealing with the collections, right, of the property, meaning that I'm not dealing with the rents, I'm not dealing with the repairs. There's somebody to call. One of the big things that you have to do as a owner, business person, whatever the case is, you have to create a system by where when there is a problem, there is somebody to call. That's one of the biggest definitions of starting to build out a business system. When there is a problem, you're not getting a phone call, somebody else gets that phone call. I tell my management, people I work with, the more phone calls I have to take, the less money I pay you, okay? The more phone calls that I have to take, the more problems I have to solve, the less I pay you. The more problems that you solve without me, the more I pay you. You see what I'm saying? Because it means that there's somebody to call. So that's a small business system. Real estate, most people don't get to a small business system. Very few get to a big business system, right? Where you have thousands and thousands and thousands of units, and like you got a legal team full time, you got an accountant full time, you got you got a whole full time thing. That's a bigger business system, okay? All right. All right. So let's go back to our other graph, passive define. Guys, if that was helpful, put a 100 in the chat. Let me know. Give me the feedback. If that was helpful, what you just heard, put a 100 in the chat, okay? So real estate falls between usually actively passive and partially passive on the income side, right? Now, another space, having a business, right? Okay? Usually when you have a business, it is actively passive, meaning that you're working in that business, you're moving in that business, all that kind of stuff, right? Now, depending on your income, again, we're not talking about how much money you're making. I'm talking about how do you define passiveness, okay? We're not talking about how much money you're making, because some people are actively passive and they're making $50,000. Some people are actively passive and they're making $10 million. You know one of the biggest spaces of what I call actively passive, where you can see it very clearly, right, is professional athletics. Professional athletics is one of the biggest, what I would define as actively passive spaces, right? Another space right now is growing is the influencer space, right? Those people, like influencers are nothing really, but it's a reincarnation of athletes and actors, right? That's really what it's a new market, right? It's like, okay, instead of paying the actor, I pay the influencer, or I pay whatever, the case is. So that's all that is, right? But those are very actively passive spaces. I want you to get this in your head, right? If they don't dribble a basketball or throw the ball or show up or act or whatever, they don't get paid, okay? Those are actively passive spaces. Now, let's get into partially passive spaces, okay? The easiest way I've seen people get into the partially passive space has to do with usually owning a business, and they have a management team. If you guys can put that in here real quick, it's owning a business and it's having a management team. Once you have a management team, you're now managing the managers. You're not managing the workers. Okay? Right? Partially passive is owning a business and having a management team. That's where you start to get into real partially passive type of space, okay? Right? So if you're thinking at this, you're going, hey, how do I get to more passive income? The question is, if you have a business, do you have a management team? If you do not have a management team, you are more than likely active. You're active. Even your business makes money in your sleep. Like, oh my gosh, they're online. Oh, I made $1 million in a month. No, you didn't actually make $1 million in a month. You prepped 5, 6, 7 months, and then you launched your product and you made all the money in a single month. But you worked this over months at a time. It's just great marketing. It sounds beautiful to say, hey, I had $1 million a day. I made $1 million in a day. Well, if you make $1 million a day, then that means you have a $360 million business. You do not have a $360 million business, which means you did not technically have a business that makes $1 million a day. You just made all of your income in one day from the 5, 6, 7 months of prep that you did for the business. You see what I'm saying? Right? Guys, if you're following me, man, put a 100 in the chat. If you're like, yo, hey, if I'm making sense, put a 100 in the chat for me. Let me know, right? So partially passive is you have a management team and they're taking care of your problems. They're dealing with the business. They're doing that space for you most of the time, right? Most of the time, that is what's happening. Now, let's get into fully passive, and then we're going to wrap this up. We're going to have part 2 on Thursday. You will not want to miss Thursday. You will not want to miss Thursday. I'm telling you right now, everybody, you will not want to miss Thursday. But let's go back to our graph. Thank you, Keith, Albert, Milton, everybody that's following us. Hey, go real quick. Okay, here we go. Now, as you get onto this passive pendulum, and Thursday, I'm going to give you some real stuff. Tonight, we're going to keep it short. but I'm telling you, I'm going to give you some deep stuff. Okay. So let's talk about capital gains. Why is capital gains at the top, right? The reason why it's at the top is because that's probably the initial space that most people enter into some level of passive income, right? Meaning that they had a house, the house appreciated, right? They sold it and they got a check and they're like, oh my gosh, I bought it for 100, I sold it for 200, we made $100,000, and I technically didn't do anything per se, right? It's one of the first like things that you can, that you can see, right? Royalties, right? This is a space that I have played in for a while. Royalties are very passive. Royalties can come through oil, right? Royalties. One very known is music royalties. I'm going to talk about this stuff next on Thursday, so don't miss Thursday, right? Because we're going to talk about this, right? Royalties can come in an invention. You invented something, and so you get a royalty from that invention. Obviously, if you have a certain type of business, a franchise, you get a royalty. But usually royalties happen because there's some form of invention or there's some type of residual effect to what's created. What people ask me a lot, they've asked me in the past, they asked me about the industry of network marketing. I've always said network marketing is great. You can build it. I've seen a lot of people make a ton of money in the industry. But they will talk about residuals, but it's not technically a royalty space, right? It's usually a more active space. You just make, like an athlete, you're just making more money because you're selling, you built a team, so now your team is selling and the teams are selling. And so usually in that space, right, it's still very active if you can get to a small business system or some form of a business system, okay? Tax credits. Tax credits, you get into super passive, meaning that the government is seeing what you're doing, where the government is basically giving you money or offsetting your income or whatever the case is, right? Because of what you're doing. It's just pure money to you, right? It's kind of like your employer in the 401k saying, hey, whatever dollar you put in, I'll match your dollar. So I'll give you dollar for dollar. That is a pure passive. You just made money you didn't do anything, right? It's passive. Investment dividends. What is this? This is when you are invested in something, stock, a company, whatever the case, and now you're getting dividends, you're getting income from that, and you're not doing anything. Now, your capital was at risk or your capital was up, but it's purely investment dividends, completely passive space for the most part. And then I'm going to talk about, we put appreciate, it should be appreciation with no S, that's okay, but things that appreciate. So we're going to get into more into this. One thing I want to encourage you guys in, especially those who, if you're watching this and you're in your 30s and 40s, I want you to do this now. It is a space you have to learn. Don't just buy anything like this. But art is an amazing passive income space. Art is very passive. And we'll talk more about this on Thursday, right? But art, literally, you purchase a piece of art, it sits on your wall. The art, I just talked to somebody, I was at the dinner. I got to get back to that dinner. I was at the dinner. They bought a piece of art for $2,000, literally. And 3 months later, somebody wanted that piece of art and paid $6,000. They made $4,000. Nothing. They didn't do, the art just existed. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about getting to the art business. I'm not talking about being an artist. I'm talking about acquiring art, right? Having it on your wall and watching it appreciate. Jay-Z said something in his album, right? You remember that, right? He was like, man, I bought a piece of art. I forgot which song it was, but he's like, man, I bought an art for $1 million, right? 2 years later, it was worth $2 million. 3 years later, it's worth $8 million. I can't wait to get to my children, right? Because all of a sudden he realized, like, wait, the art is just sitting there. And now all of a sudden, right, the art is worth $7 million more than what I paid it for. And look, we're going to get into that on Thursday. How do you leverage that? How do you get lending against that art? How do you keep that art for generations and for families? And so folks can go into your trust and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted tonight to, right, give you this foundational part of like, what is really passive income? Because there's a lot of BS out there about passive income, right? My team, if you can make this small and make me big as we get ready to wrap this up, like people don't know. And so I wanted to give you this pendulum so you have a framework. Take a picture of it, okay? So you have a framework of what actually passive income looks like for your life and what it is. And it's okay. You got to have capital a lot of times. You got to have capital in order to get into some of these passive spaces. So I want to be very clear with you. Until then, you want to be on the active side, creating capital, putting money away, and getting richer for yourself so that you can get into more and you can purchase royalties. You can get into investment dividends. You can get into more things that appreciate, right? And to more completely passive space. But with that, guys, look, this has been 1 Million Black Men. Man, you know, my goal is to, one, help free you psychologically. Number two, financial freedom, which means you can buy whatever you want. Economic freedom is when you can own the things that people buy. And number three, man, how do you create wealth generation for 7 generations? Man, this has been a great time tonight. Man, put a 100 in the chat. Hopefully you got inspired, educated. Hopefully, what I love to do, I love to take the way people are talking and the way people are thinking, and I like to flip it. I like to give you kind of a paradigm shift in the way that you think about things, right? Well, put a 100 in the chat for me, man. We're going to come back Thursday, and we're going to come back with live active stuff that you can invest in, stuff that you can do today in order to make your bread and make your family richer, make yourself richer, and also to live the best life you can, man. With that, look, again, I want my team, let's cue the video, right? Calling all Black men. I appreciate everybody tonight. Appreciate you tuning in. I know you don't have to. I know, look, this is your time. I'm putting this out there. You're receiving it. That's all I can ask for, man. I appreciate all of this, but I wanted to make sure that you're educated on what passive income is. So, again, understand that pendulum. Think about where you want to be, what you want to do. Find your space, and we'll talk more on Thursday. We're going to get into specific spaces by where you can get into the passive game or start to move on that pendulum more passive than being as active. With that, man, all I got to say to you guys is I'll see you at the top because the bottom is just way too crowded. Peace.
Calling all Black men. This is a call to action. This is a call to action, an action call. Calling all Black men. This is a call to action. This is a call to action, an action call for 1 million Black men. I am Kwesi to put you on a call path to win. This is not a Zoom call or a call on Facebook Live. Though we are virtual, we are live. Not a call on TikTok like MLB Black men, we are on the clock. Not a call from Snapchat. Move back, my bat. We are on first base to Isaac Hayes Jr. fan base. We have an eye line on third base. Grand Slam, not a call from Instagram, as we don't need validation with blue checks. We are the true checks. We do checks. We write checks. We are the right checks. We do family checks. We check in on our sons and our daughters. We are Black men who walks on waters because our children like to FaceTime. We are Black men who FaceTime. Let's FaceTime. This is still not a call from an Android or an iPhone. It is extraterrestrial to phone home. I know sometimes Black men, we have to travel around the world to be appreciated at home. But you are not alone. You are in the each one, teach one green zone, where the elusive weapon is the truth. We are the Black truth. We are Paul Pierce, the truth. We are the loot. We are 1 million Black men strong. We will get along as we landline. We walk across their blue and red line. Now this call is from a landline with rotary numbers and a coiled cord. We are 1 million Black men on one accord. This cord and phone transmits a dial tone. Whether a local call or a call of long distance, regardless of the distance, it connected us. Social media unconnected us. Our homes need us. They soul feed us. And not just food that give us niggas itis. I write this, our homes bleed sweat, tears for us. Black men, it is up to us. It is on us, not to just procure the bag. Buddha bless one, share it with me. Get the info under your afro, bro. In establishing sovereignty to be a one united bank for economic just us. Black men, we must set up a family trust to an estate, because right now everything is at stake. Because we can't lead from behind, from your behind to your mind. They are public with their relevance as they use artificial intelligence in this age of information. Elon Musk bought Twitter to gather more of our information. So if I have to be the Starlink, I will break the Starlink for 1 million black men. But I won't condone our culture with misuse of our information. So I grant you David Anderson for this financial literacy education. DA went from shy Southside streets to JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs on Wall Street. From Chicago State to Harvard. At 19, he fathered the economics in his family house. DA served in President Obama administration at the White House. He lived in China for 3.5 years, learning the Chinese economy, the renminbi. To the British pound, black men, let's get this pound. To the European euro, we NBA step into the euro. To the Uganda shilling, black men, let's be empowered by our billing and be willing to learn and understand. Money is just a tool to build unshakable wealth. 7 generations deep, that DA will teach that we can compete in an economy beyond that's local. Black men, we must think global. So I present to you David Anderson to put you on this financial literacy path to win. Welcome to the movement. 1 million black men.